Turning it on. What if there was a machine, something buried or hidden that had been there for longer than we have? I have hinted at this in a few articles already. The machine, and one thing leads to another. And a few films of reference instantly spring to mind for this, for a more industrial illustration of it. War of the Worlds 2005. Part of what made it so terrifying, they were already here. Total Recall 1990. A machine that could create a breathable atmosphere, turning it on became the point, for survival. Alien v Predator 2004. An underground pyramid is activated, acting as a beacon to signal the game has begun, where turning it on doesn't always end well. Dark City 1998. Another mention for this film that covers a lot of bases, because there is a machine, which is the central focus and world builder in this case. Worth a mention, despite the fact it is already running and just needs to be harnessed. And I wonder if something ever has been found, while they are digging for things, looking for evidence of what has come before beneath our feet. Because everything that has come before is down there. Everything that exists comes from there, as far as we know. Everything is made from something that is made from the earth. We can't make things out of thin air, as far as we know. And we don't import any extraterrestrial material, so it all comes from here. This is probably why many think that if there are other beings with flying craft capabilities, it is more likely they are from here. Just quite possibly the bit they don't tell you about, or actively keep people from. When you think of how much land is actually uninhabited, again, so we are told, it seems rather odd that we think there is an overpopulation problem. Antarctica being one of the ones that stands out for rules and restrictions, and all countries playing nicely for that agreement. Something not right there at all. But away from that empty landmass, we have others. Greenland is mostly empty, as is much of Canada, Siberia, Australia. So once you start adding up how much is empty of people, it seems it's quite probably another cog in the data corruption of humanity. And one that gets parroted so much, people actually started believing it. Now it's easy to see how much is and was orchestrated. I can see how easily I personally fell for it. For lots of it. For years. I believed famines were a terrible natural disaster until I started looking at the demographics of the Darfur one. Old enough to start questioning the thought processes of people, rather than just believe what I am told and shown. I thought, why don't they just move to where the food is, and water? And then you hit the reality. They aren't allowed to, because of borders and people deciding they had to stay put. So, I determined that it wasn't the famine that killed so many, it was people needing to be in control, and that they would let people starve to death rather than help. And once I noticed that point, I began to notice it everywhere. Unfortunate circumstances and situations did indeed befall people and groups of people, but it was how they were then treated in the aftermath by people who made it worse or used that situation to their own advantage. Hurricane Katrina springs to mind here. It was shocking, not going to lie. We were used to seeing abandonment on citizens in countries like Africa or the Middle East or the Far East, but this was in America, and probably should have been a big heads up on how they viewed the common folk and a taste of what was to come. We have also seen in recent years how they either deliberately cause the events or knowingly screw up or delay any relief efforts, making sure the opportunists and vultures get a look in though. It's actually quite terrifying to see how it has all changed in such a short amount of time. But once you look at what wants to be achieved, then it starts to make perfect sense. So while the article may have started as being about turning on a machine, I can't help thinking maybe it's us they are trying to turn off. As if we were the original AI blueprint, and now we have evolved to where we are. It's a problem, and they don't want us having our own thoughts, or being in charge of our own personal evolution. Needing to find various ways to infect us, or shut us down, or corrupt us, as you would with any computer system. Except we have our own power source, and can be self-sustaining and self-replicating, without needing to be part of a collective at all times. It must drive them mad. All these rogue programs running around doing what they please and creating other programs as they go. I see that as being part of what they would like to control with their want of an androgynous, non-breeding, medicated society of drones. Sorry, I mean citizens. just there to consume data and have their data harvested. As I said in my article, Mark of the Beast, we have become the product, and they seem quite intent on changing what appears to be human being into human doing. But as I so often ask, what exactly for?